Welcome to the video version of our Atlanta Voiceover Studio and ProVoiceOverTraining.com podcast. Voice123 is a huge online casting site, and if you're a voiceover talent who wants to try it out, we have a coupon code for you that'll save you some money in the notes. But since there's been a lot of VO chatter and frustration over the Voice123 algo, Heidi was a little frustrated with it too. She wanted to ask some hard questions of Rolf Veldman, CEO of Voice123, and he was more than helpful and willing to chat. Heidi gets into all this with Rolf as they also cover the Voice Authenticity Initiative, low-paying TTS, synthetic voice opportunities on Voice123, how the Voice123 algorithm actually works and why, current buyer challenges, what sets apart people booking more on Voice123, why there's a waitlist for Voice123 Premium, what makes Voice123 better than other online casting platforms, and a whole lot more. So let's jump right in. Here's Heidi and Rolf.
This may be the only time this has happened. We have a repeat podcast guest on Atlanta Voiceover Studio's podcast. In fact, I was looking back to see the exact episode that you were on last, Rolf, and it was episode 24. So this is episode 75 that we're going to be on. So 51 episodes later, and you're back with us. Let me tell you who are listening, who is on, because you're like, who? Tell me, Heidi, who is this? So we have Rolf Veldman. He's the CEO of Voice123 on the podcast today. Voice123, if you've listened to any of our podcasts, you've heard us talk about it. We're huge proponents of it, supporters of it. It's one of the first and largest online marketplace for professional voice actors. And Rolf has been the leader there for a long time. And now it's really cool because most of Voice123's team is fully remote. And so he does a great job of leading, of bringing everyone together. It's a great team. And so we're so happy to have you on today because we've got a couple of exciting things to really talk about, some pioneering things as far as I know. Maybe there's some other behind the scenes stuff with other companies, but some really cool stuff that Voice123 is doing. So let's kick it off because one of the biggest things that we want to talk about today is the Voice Authenticity Initiative. Rolf, can you share with us exactly what that is?
Yeah, of course. First of all, very happy to be here. I can't believe it's 50 episodes ago that we've last spoken on this. These numbers make time feel like it goes so fast. The 13th, so that's Friday. I celebrated my 7-year wedding anniversary with my wife, and that also feels like I'm now. That's a long time.
Yeah.
I've known her now for 12 years, but it feels like a day, and then suddenly you're here. So the 50 episodes in between, it feels like we spoke yesterday. So I'm excited to be here again. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk here is because the last couple of years, as I think most people know, Voice123 has always been looking to see what is the next step in AI, how is AI going to shape the voiceover industry, and what is our role in it? Forever, we've had a mission in Voice123 that's all about crafting the future of voiceover, and it felt like the last couple of years, this has become more of an activistic mission, especially when it relates to AI. So one of the things that we saw early doors is the technology is going to go so fast. There's going to be so many different companies that are going to experiment with this. So many different creative people are going to do wonderful things with it. It's going to be hard for governments and any kind of legal framework to catch up with how we're doing this. You can see it on every different level in society, on all the way from kids using ChatGPT to write their essays to voice actors auditioning with AI voiceovers. So it's a global phenomena, and we realized, okay, if we want to set the foundations for a healthy way of integrating AI into the voiceover industry, we need to think about security first. And that's where the Voice Authenticity Initiative, which is a very hard thing to say for a Dutch with a hard S, that's how that came about. That's something that Adobe started. Adobe started it from a designer perspective, and it's all about the idea that we can trace back authenticity to the creator. And it means very practically putting fingerprints on content you create. And that's something that we have applied to Voice123 as well. We released basically software that runs on a backend that doesn't change any of the formatting, that allows us to put a fingerprint on every single audio file that is going through Voice123. So in case there is misuse or in case there is doubt on where it came from, we sort of have a history of it. We thought that would have been, once we had the technology, we thought it's going to be great to implement it. It's going to be quite easy. But then we realized, okay, Voice123 has been around for a long, long time. We're trying to go back just 2 or 3 years, and we're already signing 10 million audio files. Wow. There's so much content being created and so much voiceover being done that it's almost hard to go back. But our goal is to go all the way back. We want to make sure that there's a logbook or a voice vault of all the voiceover that has been created, at least on Voice123. That even if you're not necessarily booking work on Voice123, but you get to a place where you want to store some of your samples or demos there, that we can do it that way. That was our plan for AI. Was we need to have security first. And out of this first project about voice authenticity initiative, it's called that way because that's how Adobe called it, and we banked on the same name. Based on that, we learned that we can almost, do you remember Shazam?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I use it all the
Remember?
time
Yeah, I
still.
mean, I still
Yeah.
use it. Yeah, but there might be a whole generation out there that doesn't know. But so we realized out of this we can create something similar for your voice, where we can, with all the audio files that are on Voice123, we can get pretty close to saying, okay, this is Heidi with 99% security, accuracy. Even if the voice file is not created on Voice123, we can you can log in saying, hey, I can hear this audio of myself. Let me upload it into this system and see if this is me, or if this is the robot version of me or the AI version of me. So we've been building a lot of these tools these last couple of months, years, to lay a foundation in the ecosystem of voiceover, so that when we get to the place where people want to start selling their AI voiceover model with consent from the voice actor themselves, they have an extra set of tools that gives them an extra layer of security. So I'm very excited about finally releasing some of these tools in the Voice123 ecosystem.
So let me try and say back to you what I think it is as a non-techie person, to see if everyone else can understand this too. So basically what happens is if somebody, an actor goes and creates like an audition on Voice123, submits it to the client, there's an automatic piece of code that goes into that sample, so that way that client cannot use it to create a synthetic voice or to use it for their project. Like there would be a way to track it to make sure that doesn't happen. Is that kind of correct? Or
it's more that when it happens, you have a way to bring it back to, hey, this is where it got created.
Gotcha.
Like that's phase one. The next phase is that we can actually trace whether it's being used, but we don't have access to YouTube, for example, yet to see where it's being used, or on some of these other streaming places, or wherever the voiceover gets sent out into the ether.
Okay.
So the checkpoint is more traceability, and that's phase one. And the next step is to trace it all the way. That, let's say you can hear a generated voice that sounds something similar like yourself. You can say, this was used with my voice model. So that's where we want to get to, because we see that some companies are looking into your own website and trying to download those kind of audio files, and we want to make sure that there's always a way to trace it back to the original file. So one is a fingerprint. I would say that's more logical.
Yeah. What about how sometimes some of these companies are using multiple different voices to create like models that aren't necessarily based on just one voice? Does that still help to be able to verify that, oh, that is Heidi's voice, that is Rolf's voice combined? Or
yeah, our accuracy would go a little bit down, but we're getting closer and closer. Like every week we're making progress on this. Like we're getting closer to say, okay, yes, your voice was a component of this new voice.
Yeah, that's
amazing. That's going to be exciting once we get to that milestone. But it starts with just making sure that every single file that is flowing through digital platforms like Voice123, and we hope that everybody adopts this, is traceable. Right? Not just in your own spreadsheet that you keep yourself, but in the actual voice file itself.
So do voice talent need to do anything when we're uploading our samples or anything?
No, it's being done already
That's
on
great.
your behalf, and it doesn't impact the audio in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Does that mean that as voice talent, we should try to keep things on the Voice123 platform as much as possible? So, for instance, if we audition for something through Voice123 and then the client contacts us and says, could you email me the booked files, here, it's more advantageous to us to say, can I upload it to Voice123? Because then that way that code is embedded. Otherwise, it wouldn't necessarily be embedded if we just email the client directly. Is that right? Or
yeah, I mean, that would be ideal. I don't want you to lose the client. So if the client you still have that original audio, that original edition still on Voice123, so you should also be fine with that. But yeah, in an ideal way, you go through Voice123's, let's say, booking form, which is for free, right? The client doesn't have to pay through us if they don't want to. But keeping that full flow on Voice123 will help with the traceability and any kind of future issues. And we see a lot of voice actors that are already using some of the Voice123's booking or secure payment feature where the client pays an extra fee. They already use that for, let's say, if they have a first-time client and they're unsure. just to have that extra layer of security. But we're trying to make that more of a universal solution by stamping the hell out of all these audio files. But
Yeah.
we didn't realize we had so much. So it's
Wow.
taken a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So if a voice talent hears, a file that they've done for a client and they hear it somewhere that they didn't give consent to or something like that, what are the steps that they can take if this code is embedded in that?
So
What do they need to contact Voice123
no,
or
you go to
okay.
voice13.com/voice ID. You upload it and you see if there's where it's from.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's it. And it's going to be a portal. Like we're still signing audio files as we go, but in the next couple of weeks we should have signed them all. So you simply go there and you check, and then you see the history. It's sort of like a logbook of what happened. You can see whether a client opened it or not. All those kind of things you can do.
That's amazing.
And there's terms on there as well. Cannot be used for data modeling unless specifically said so, etc. So yeah, no, it's like a place in Voice13 where you can always check.
That is so cool. Is there any potential way that the file could become invalid or the code could be invalid? Is there anything that we need to watch out for as voice actors?
So we tested with different scenarios. In the beginning, it was as easy as changing the name of the file and then it's a new file. But we're able to find our way back to the original audio file. We can stretch out the audio or slow it down, and it still recognizes it. But there will be like very inventive people will find a way around it. Of course. But this should cover a high percentage of cases.
That's so cool. Is this available to all tiers on Voice123 or a certain amount of tiers or?
So right now we just started with a small group to see we don't want to break the system. But ideally this is available for everybody on the Voice13 network. We have way more not paying members than paying members, and everybody is using the site. So we need to make sure it's accessible to all. We might get to a place where we start, because we don't know what the cost is going to be for us, that we charge, let's say, was it like $50 a year, something like that, to have access to this tool. But it really depends on how it's being used and what people are using it for and whether or not people like it. But for at least we're happy that we put in that extra layer on top of our network right now.
What are the ultimate goals for this?
Yeah. So the ultimate goal, and that's already very close to that Shazam idea, is where we become like a voice vault for people or a voice bank, where in case of disputes or in case of verification or in case of any kind of misuse of your voice, you can upload any file to this system and it will say this is Heidi or this is not Heidi, or this is Heidi and this original file came from this part of Voice13 or this part. So our goal is to give sort of the power, put the power in the hands of the voice actors in this regard, so they have actual proof they can bring to any kind of dispute they might have with a client. And for the clients who share the same fear, by the way, they want to make sure that the files are only being used for them and not being used by others.
Right.
So they have the same fear that voice actors have. What if the voice actor I choose on Voice13, what if their samples get downloaded on their profile by somebody else? All of those kind of fears people have. So this is like you hope to be a universal place where people can find the true source of where voiceover was created.
That's so awesome. There are a lot of like TTS or synthetic voice auditions on Voice123 that come through.
Yeah.
But a lot of the ones that I have seen, they are under the standard rate, which that term standard rate for the TTS synthetic voice is a little crazy because there really isn't technically one. I mean, it's all across the board. It just depends on so many things. And I've talked to different agents and they have different perspectives on it. But how does Voice123 filter it? Do you just let them decide the rate on all of that, the TTS and synthetic voice, or is it up to the voice talent to determine if that's okay to them? Or
so we try to follow the NAVA template. So every client that posts a kind of text-to-speech or AI-related job gets flagged, gets pushed into our system, and we have to then make sure they answer a series of questions where they're going to use it for. But to be honest, on pricing, we only give advice like anywhere in Voice123, and we don't send any kind of standards on behalf of clients. It's particularly in a category that where just 5 years ago, I think people were getting paid six-figure figures to record these models. Yeah. And there were maybe 4 or 5 companies doing this, and now there is, I think, 50,000 companies or something working on voice-related AI. It's very hard for us to dictate price on that. To be frank, we don't want to be that person to dictate price. We refer to GVAA and Great for the Brain, so every kind of client that signs up or posts a project, we refer to those links. as part of them. But in the end, it's between the client and the voice actor to decide.
Okay, great.
Quickly enough, it
Yeah.
is one of the fastest growing. It's like a new voiceover category of. I always pronounce it wrong. Is it category or category?
Category.
Category.
But we get what you're saying.
Fair enough.
I kind of like the way that you say it,
Yeah, it's a
honestly.
very Dutchified version of the word. But it's one of the fastest growing voiceover sections, or a new type of voiceover that has come to the surface maybe, like I said, 3 or 4 years ago, but it is growing and growing and growing. And under the right terms, meaning the templates that, again, we're trying to work with Nava to get them on our site as well, but standard boilerplate templates that you can only use this kind of recording for this model and not to use my voice in any kind of other site or resell this kind of voice. If you have those terms correctly, it could be a good source of new type of voiceover. That is scary because they are creating models. But to be frank, I would say that 99% of the companies that go into voice AI, they leave voice AI as well.
Yeah.
There's also an opportunity there.
Sure, of course. Is there anything else about the voice authenticity initiative that we haven't covered that you wanted to make sure that voice actors are clear on? And
no, I think it's time to start interacting with the demo part of Voice ID, is what we call it. So I would try to look for it on the site, and we already have a couple of help center articles on how to interact with it. But we mainly want to get the word out there that we're now signing millions of audio files, make sure they have fingerprints so that people are better protected.
I love it. And I will include all those links too in the show notes. So if anyone's listening, it'll make it a lot easier for you to find it. Even if you're not on the Voice 123 website, platform, then you can definitely find that as well. Learn more about it. And thank you so much for doing that. So I do want to ask you about the algorithm, because the Voice 123 algorithm, because that is something that a lot of veteran voice talent have talked to me about. I've experienced it myself. Before we even jump into some of those questions, can you explain how the Voice 123 algorithm works and why it works that way?
Okay, let's start with why. We have to basically make a decision. There's one job coming in, and we have about 150,000 active voice actors on Voice 123. Who gets to see that job invitation and when? And that used to be in the early days. We had people going through it like any kind of agency almost, and we send it out and we send it out. And then Voice 123 got too big. So like any process, it has a fancy word of an algorithm, but it's just a way to sort of expedite that decision making instead of us doing it. And how it works is that we take 2 factors. Before that, we check whether or not it matches the specs. So we should not send you a voiceover for an invitation for a Dutch male voiceover. So it starts with basic things like language and gender and age. People are quite flexible in some cases with those combinations, so they add a lot of those things. But let's say that's the first hurdle. What we then do is that we look at everybody who's still left in that field, and let's say that's 50,000 people. We then check a mix of their membership level and their ranking score. And the ranking score is based on a year's worth of projects that have been posted to you and how many of your proposals have received a like. Or how many of your proposals have turned into a booking. We count bookings as likes as well. So we use what we call client feedback, a like or a booking related to an audition, and we use your membership there. Based on that, what happens is we send the invitation. Let's say it's for 50. They need 50 auditions. We send the invitations to maybe 700 people. And if nobody replies on time, or if there's not enough people interested in the job, it moves to a second group and a third group and a fourth group and a fifth group and so forth until there's 10. That's roughly the system.
Okay, great.
Make sense?
It totally makes sense. Do you feel like on the buyer's side, we'll call like the people that come to Voice 123 to book talent, we'll call them buyers. So on the buyer's side, do you feel like that works really well for them? Like, have they given you feedback that's really helpful in finding talent? Or
yes. And I say yes instantly, because that's been like, even though maybe the tweaks in the algorithm that we made in 2018, this has been what is Voice 123's bread and butter for the last 20 years. Right? The ability for clients to get auditions, not from everybody, but from people who find themselves most relevant or who think they can succeed with the biggest chance to that job. Because there is a consequence of this algorithm. If you don't get likes, or if you do not get booked, you start trending down on the list. So we want to have that last layer of, let's say we send you 10 invitations, maybe only 2 or 3 might be actually perfectly fit for you. So we want you to be that last hurdle of deciding which one to go for and which one not to go for. And our clients keep coming back to us because they get a mix of quality, proven talent, and new talent coming through in these kind of auditions. So it has been working. Of course, there's flaws in this algorithm, which I'm sure we'll get to, but fundamentally it works, at least for the buyer side.
Sure, of course. And I can totally see that as many talent as you guys have. Like, I see how that works. I think that what I've heard from talent and what I've experienced on my own too is that some clients, a lot of clients have stopped giving like thumbs up on auditions. And so even if like I've had a client that booked me off of the website, off Voice123,
That's the most frequent. That's the most frequent course of action.
And didn't give me a thumbs up, though, for the audition. So therefore, it didn't really count as like anything. It seemed like I just did an audition that didn't get a response from a client. So for me and my story and what I've heard from a lot of other talent was I was doing really well on Voice123. I was booking. And then I kind of just hit some type of snag where I don't know what it was. It could have been a lot of things, you know, in voiceover, there's ups and downs. And then all of a sudden I wasn't getting the thumbs up or whatever. And my ranking dropped from top 10% to bottom 20%, 30%. And therefore I wasn't getting the opportunities that I was before. And it was so hard to try and get back up. And I started requesting thumbs up from clients. And I started even going back to clients that had booked me before and said, could you leave a testimonial, or could you, just as a way to remind them that, you know, you worked with me, maybe they'll send me something and at least like my audition, and optimized my profile, like really went through with a fine tooth comb to try and make sure that was optimized. And when I did reach out to Voice123 about it, after doing all those things, the response was like, well, maybe you should just audition for those low paying jobs to try and get your ranking up. So I think that part was the hardest part for me to hear, because as a talent that's been around for a long time, and, you know, this is my full-time career. As somebody that's been in the business for 15 years, that's hard to say, like, the only way that you're going to now get work is if you take these lower paying jobs that are way below the standard industry rates. So I think that's the hardest part, is that while there does need to be an algorithm and there needs to be those systems, it does feel like it's penalized a lot of talent that have been in the business for a while. And the more competition there is, it's just our booking ratios go down just because there's more competition. And that's been the case from most talent that I've heard of that have been in the industry for a long time. And we're still able to make, you know, a great income from it. It's just different now.
There's a point where then a site like Voice123 doesn't work for you anymore. No, I get it. So there's a lot to unpack here. But I want to go through all of them because I think this is what a lot of people are going through in Voice123 in particular, but maybe also on other sites in VoiceOver or regardless. Let's talk about Voice123 first. Like the use case that you mentioned, where you might have an audition and then a client finds you via LinkedIn or finds you via your own website and maybe says, you auditioned on Voice123 and I'll book you here. Like, that's one of the most common ways to get work on Voice123. And that's also we don't see that until you tell us, right? So all we see is a casting happened and then nothing happened. We don't know. As one of the benefits of Voice123 becomes like its Achilles heel. I think one of the benefits of Voice123 is that we realize the only way to stay in work in voiceover as a voice actor is if you have repeat clients. The only way to get repeat clients is to take them off sites like Voice123. So we have to manage. The one thing that we want is keep the site very open, but we also want to get enough feedback for us to train that system that gives that recommendations. It's one of the reasons why we added bookings, and even for voice actors to after an audition say, send a booking link to the client. Can you just confirm that I got booked here? Another way for us to not get in the way of actually making the work, but maybe retroactively getting the right information so we train the system correctly. So it's an inherent problem in our system that comes out of a benefit. That's one of the reasons we take a year's worth of data, and we're actually we haven't touched the algorithm significantly in the last 5 years. I wouldn't say not at all. But one of the things that we're looking to change is how can we make experience count for more, right? You're mentioning I'm 50 years in the business. We've always had the radical approach that every year in voiceover is different. We saw a big change in the last 4 or 5 years, where if you look 5-6 years ago, the most searched for term or the most looked for actor was a middle-aged man. That has been changing a lot. And you
Yeah.
can see that reflected on voiceover as well. So we also feel, okay, that's part of market dynamics, but we don't want to chuck the baby out with the bathwater,
Right.
if that's a saying in every language, at least it is in Dutch, where we want to make sure that it counts for more. So we're starting to think about ways to make previous experience count for more in the algorithm. I know it's kind of vague because we haven't found a solution, but that's one of the pain points that more voice actors have told us, and we're working on solving that. The other big thing is that in period 2020 to 2022, so many people joined the industry.
Yeah.
So many. Some really good, some not so good. Regardless, just a lot of people. And I think our system was built on a little bit less amount of voice actors. So we have to now change on this newer reality where there's way more voice actor doing voiceover, and the amount of jobs has roughly stayed the same. In some cases, even declined, because there's this whole thing like influencer marketing that's taking over some of the work, and of course there's AI. I mean, there's voiceover still growing year over year, but those two things happening at the same time. So we have to adjust our system to this new reality. The last thing that you mentioned about punishing is that I think that would happily admit that's one of the more stronger flaws in Voice 123, that because we use so little amount of your interaction with the client, once you have a couple of bad months, not even bad months, you might have good months, but we don't see it, but the system counts it as bad months, then you're sort of in this washing machine down at the bottom, and it's very hard to get up. The only way to get up is give it time. And that's hard. Out of those three things, that's the one that we're focusing on the most. How can we make sure that people don't suddenly drop, like you mentioned, from top 30 to bottom 30, or top 10 to bottom 10? We haven't had that pre-2020, those kind of issues, but we seem to have them more and more, and it seems to be related to just so many people are in there now.
Right.
And not necessarily paying actors, any type of actors. But so yeah, I hope I'm getting close to an answer on your question, but I know there's the three things. One is the flaw in the algorithm, I think, is the punitive part. It's too punishing. I do want to say I don't think we will ever fix the problem that you mentioned in the beginning, where you're getting booked offline, unless we close it off. But then Voice 123 stops working.
Right.
Unless we force everything to go through Voice 123. We want everything to flow to Voice 123, don't get me wrong, but it has to work for you. If it doesn't work, people go offline. So it is impossible by design for us to solve that issue. So we're trying to bank more and more on the voice actors giving us the feedback. But the client still has to verify, because we have a lot of people gaming the system as well. Saying, yeah, I got booked. And then 3 people say they got booked, but there's only 1 booking. So we have to, it's never like as black and white as there's so much context to make those kind of decisions. And we don't want to fundamentally change something for the bad. So we're making these incremental changes. And the next one is how to make sure that punitive part and goes less fast. And how can we make sure that experience counts for longer than just 1 year?
I believe that, Rolf, and I know that there's so much more that goes beyond it, and nothing's ever going to be perfect. And also, I think I would like just to speak to people that are in the business for 15 plus years. If you are in this business for 15 years, or you want to be, the key to that is flexibility and pivoting and going with the flow of this industry. It's changed so many times over 15 plus years. And the people that I've seen that don't do well in the industry are the people that don't change with it. And so I think that it's always about trying to find ways that how can we pivot with it. And for me, my ranking has gotten up, but what I did was I was so specific with the things that I auditioned, even more so than I was before. Like if it wasn't me to a T, I did not audition for it. If I wasn't right there at the beginning, I didn't audition for it. And I was able to get the ranking back up, and it's been a lot better for me. But I also made it a point to be even better with my relationships with the clients that have booked me, because I thought that is the only way that I can stand out and bring that value in the midst of 150,000 or whatever. I can't remember the number exactly that you said, and so I do think that is important for us to always, there's things that are going to be frustrating in the industry, but we have to, that's why I wanted to have you on, to be able to explain more about what goes into it, because I think it's helpful for us to understand. And then for us to continually look for ways that we can serve our clients better and that we can, pivot with the industry.
Yeah, I think that the downside is, I know I'm listening because both things are true, right? Currently, the system is working for clients, and there's voice actors succeeding. Otherwise, Voice on
Yeah.
3 would not exist. But also, there's a lot of, because it's such a big system and a big company in terms of number of jobs and number of voice actors that are on there, there's always people slipping through the cracks, making sure the system doesn't work as well for a lot of people. It's hard for us we cannot build something for one person, so we have to build it for the industry, and there's something inherently not wrong, but it's hard.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Of course. One of the questions that I had, if somebody is experiencing that with Voice 123, because one of my thoughts was, should I just get off of the platform, give it some time, and then start back afresh? Is there any benefit to that?
Yeah, you sort of trend down back to the middle
Almost
over
zero.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
over time. And also I would then maybe use Voice on 3 more for the search and contact part of Voice on 3. So you can get access to work by just auditioning, but we can see the pendulum changing more and more to clients or buyers, and as we discussed, no longer necessarily going for the audition, but just wanting to talk to you directly. A team member told me like 93% of the voice actors don't have a filled out profile on Voice on 3.
Wow.
So even if you're taking a break from the main audition algorithm, make sure that your profile has all the samples with the right keywords so they can find you on the search and book you that way. And then one way is to give it time. But in all honesty, the best way is the one that you described. Be very meticulous about the projects that you audition for. And if you get auditioned, make sure it turns into a booking or so that the system actually sees it, even if it requires some extra admin work from you afterwards. But the whole system is created to create the painful tension where you as a voice actor are very critical on what you audition for. We see voice actors coming in, pay a membership, audition to hundreds of auditions in the first couple of weeks, and then suddenly tank. That's because we want to give that experience to clients, that we give you the right voice actor and not every voice actor.
Right.
It's a tough one to balance. Because there might just be months that there's not a really very relevant job for you on Voice on 3 in your category. So yeah.
And when you were talking about the clients using or buyers using the search terms to find people specifically, is there greater visibility for certain profiles, whether it's based on their tiers or based on keywords, or what helps people to come up first if people are searching, buyers are searching?
Accuracy. So if people are searching for a specific character, they'll find that character. If they're searching for a voice style, they'll find the people with the most specific voice sample with that voice style. Let's say everybody has the same entry, then we still rotate the results, but platinums have a little bit of an advantage. But in the end, it's more accuracy. There's still more, we call it keyword combinations, that have no results than have results, and clients are looking for everything. So it's all about who set up their profile correctly with the right keywords. It's all about those keywords in those samples.
And I know I've gone through the the Voice 123 Pros course with Natasha and Catherine, and they have great resources. Is there also additional resources from Voice 123 to help people set up their profile with the most accuracy?
Yeah, so our customer success team is all about this, right?
Okay.
So we do our own audits of your profile, and I think most of the things that you can find in a course, you can also just by talking to some of our team members. We're starting to create more and more of these educational materials ourselves as well. We realize that we have a hole to fill on, because we see the industry changing in front of our eyes, and now we need to tell more voice actors how it's changing and what we're seeing. Like, I know it seems very straightforward, but something obvious as it's political season now in the US, make that your first sample and demo on any site you have, right?
Yeah.
That seems straightforward, but I will guarantee you that 99% of people don't do that kind
think
of stuff.
about it. Yep.
And it's all about the moment. You can, if something is popular on TikTok, it is popular on Voice on 3. Like if a certain song is popular, you can see key terms related to that song on Voice on 3 as well. So it's all about what is topical and make sure that reflects your voice actor profile as well.
That's so true. I love that. What do you feel like outside of the Voice Authenticity Initiative, but what do you feel like you do better than other online casting sites?
I think number one is the transparency. I used to be, when I joined Voice on 3, the board of directors, they told me, and you need to work on your company values and what is your vision. And I thought, okay, yeah, just corporate crap. Let me get to work. right?
Yeah.
But I realize more and more these kind of underlying values and behaviors are super important for companies. And for us, transparency, and that's how we operate as a team together as well, is very important. So when we launch a thing like secure payments or we added new client services, we always tell the client and the voice actor, this is what the client gets paid, or this is what the voice actor gets paid, and this is the fee for Voice 123, and we use it for this. The same with our algorithm. There's no secrets about our algorithm. We try to share it. Creates all kind of problems, but we think it's important to be transparent. And I think that's when we're thinking about AI specifically, if you're looking to see how we differentiate from other companies, that's our approach as well. We want the only way for AI to ethically succeed in voiceover if it's out in the open, not secretly done or not by companies who have their own model that is blurry on how it's being built. But we want to showcase everything that happens. We want to share our data. We want to showcase what types of projects flowing through. We want to make sure the client gives enough information. We fundamentally know that voiceover exists if you build relationships. So even with AI, that's the approach that we're taking. So we have not built our own model, but we're building the tools so you can sell. Let's say you have a model with any of the companies out there. We want to be able for you to start offering that on Voice 123, similar to how you might want to use, tell our clients that you have Source Connect, right? I think it's going to be that route as well. We just want to showcase and make fully transparent what is happening with AI and how it's happening. And I'm getting more and more excited about that part of our business these last couple of years. We're trying to do the same with our terms of service, with all the aspects. We're trying to make it transparent and public so that we're asked tough questions that we don't have to answer, and therefore make everything we build better.
Yeah.
I would say that's the biggest difference, that whole transparent approach to voiceover, realizing that when voice actors succeed, Voice 123 succeed, and therefore it's okay that you leave the platforms regardless of what my investors say. They will tell you, well, you need to keep them on to get more money, but like that's now. We think in Voice 123 we make plans for 10 years, not for next year.
Yeah. I have a few questions just from specific people
Please.
that have been like our instructors and stuff. So I wanted to go through them real quick and then we'll wrap up. So one of the questions was about the wait list for premium. So one of our instructors has been on the wait list for about 2 years. And so she just wanted to know what kind of was how long are most people on the wait list? How's that going? How soon do you think she could expect to get on?
So it's the platinum waitlist. We currently have, I think, 80 active platinums, or maybe 82. We have platinum members because specifically on our search and in most auditions, we always want to showcase. We want to make sure that we always have the highest quality voice actors, at least a couple, so that clients can make a decision based on that. But our wait list is hundreds of people. Platinum moves out, and we have our team of experts go through the people that have been pre-approved, and we select the one that best fits Voice 123 and best fits the market needs at that moment. So we're looking at age and gender demographics to make sure it's completed. I know that she's looking for an answer like the average wait time is 3 years.
Yeah.
But the list is so long, I don't quite know, to be honest.
Sure.
And it's so specific, but it is long.
Yeah. There were a couple of questions about the direct booking button, and some of our instructors were saying that their clients were feeling like it was a little too cumbersome. They said something about they felt like that they had already completed some of those fields, and then it was a duplication of effort. So they were just saying that there was a couple of issues when they would direct clients to do the direct booking on Voice 123. But I honestly, I think I've mentioned a couple times to people to do the direct booking, but they just ended up booking me directly and not going through that. So I don't have that. I don't have the experience or know exactly what they're talking about, but maybe you can speak a little bit more to.
It might be that when clients post a project to get auditions and then decide to book, if they don't do that from the place where they have done the casting, they're forced to basically create a new booking.
Oh,
so I think
gotcha.
What the people are saying is right. We just have to make it easier for the client to say, this is a direct booking. Is it part of an existing casting? And they can just select it.
That's really helpful.
We have to, I think based on this, we do have to improve it a bit more. Like we've always been a bit standoffish with direct booking because we don't want to lose our reputation of you take the work outside of the platform. But then again, we also want to allow clients to book directly on Voice123. So yeah, we have to put more effort in making that more user-friendly.
So as a voice talent, say you audition for a job and then the client's like, hey, I would love to book you for this. Instead of directing them to the direct booking link, say, do you mind booking me off the original casting that you posted? It'll make it easier for you. That's the more streamlined process. Is that right?
That is right.
Okay.
And also wait for us to then make it easier for you to, when you share your direct booking link, that you already connect the casting that it's related to.
Okay,
So
got
you
it.
do the work on their behalf, but that's
Mhm.
work in progress on our end. But
I see.
that would be, until that's done, that's the solution. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And then one kind of final question. This is a random, but is based on what we talked about before. But I know before Voice123 has put out some of the top keywords that people search for, clients search for. Are you guys still doing that? And at what frequency do you share
Yeah,
that?
we're revamping that page as we speak, because we noticed 2 months ago it's offline. We used to have a
Oh,
directory like this is popular, but we're bringing it back up. Yeah.
okay,
Also as
great.
a way for people to start, okay, this is popular now, let me add samples that are related to this. Yeah, where we will share it again.
Perfect. That sounds awesome. Rolf, thank you so much just for
thank
being so open and sharing all this and being committed to the transparency and also what you guys are doing with the Voice Authenticity Initiative. We really, really appreciate that. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. I'm already looking forward to 50 episodes from now.
I know. Hopefully it won't be 50 episodes from now. But thank you so much, Rolf. We really appreciate you being here.
No, thank you.